Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Gary Southway, and I'm the General Manager of IT Outsource, located here in the sunny Cayman Islands. IT Outsource are a managed service company, been around since 2004.
Hi, I am Michael Nicolau, and I am the Managing Director and Head of Networks in CDMA Services Limited, a managed service provider based in Nicosia, Cyprus. We started off in 2011 as a professional services company focusing mainly in cybersecurity and carrier-grade networking and IP telephony. But we very soon realized that small companies were lacking into quality services and IT support. This is how we created the first managed security service provider in Cyprus in 2011.
So my name is George Geddes, and I'm the cybersecurity sales director here at Glemnet. And Glemnet is based in the UK, and we are in the south of the UK, so close to London. So yeah.
So before the lockdown, we've been steadily growing over the last 7 years, really since 2013. And the lockdown was a particularly stressful time because we actually signed a deal to sell the business to a major international firm, Cable and Wireless. And the lockdown hit on March the 12th. All schools closed, the airport and borders closed, and business was told to work from home. All happened within 10 days. So we weren't able to get our government license to approve the deal until about, I think it was July the 1st, the deal was finally approved. In terms of business itself, as I mentioned, we had double-digit year-on-year growth from 2013, so we were set up quite nicely, and probably about 100 managed service clients, as well as some additional enterprises that did business with us because there's no contractor market here in the Cayman Islands. So our team of technical architects were often doing some project work or some difficult to do migration work that the clients wanted to de-risk.
For us, before COVID, we're about to start the process of refreshing our service offerings, which included blending in the services from our cybersecurity division, QSecure, into our managed services offering in order to handle the new challenges that were coming into this changing landscape. We have been experimenting for about 2-3 years before the pandemic to find the best tools available for building our technology stack, tools like PSA, RMM, antivirus, EDR, all the tools that a managed service provider needs, and so on. So we had our plan in place, the verticals that we wanted to penetrate into, and just hit us, I believe, like everybody did.
Wow, this is a time in history that we'll never forget for sure. So we were still operating fully from the offices at that point, as most businesses were, and we are quite local. Most of our employees live local to the offices, so it was quite a massive shock when in the UK it was very abruptly came to a close. Everything shut down pretty much overnight. So it was a real shock to the system. I don't think anybody had sort of planned or envisaged anything as detrimental as that. So it was quite an experience to go through what we went through in a very short period of time. And as most companies, it was really a change and shift in the way we thought overnight, really.
Business changed dramatically during lockdown. As I mentioned a little earlier, the first patient zero case happened here on March the 12th. within 10 days, the borders were closed, the work from home directive was issued, essential workers only allowed to go to the physical workplace, and the whole island work remotely. Tourism was cut dead. So we had to respond rapidly. A number of our clients wanted us to help them with work from home solutions. So within 10 days, we deployed a Citrix solution, supported a couple of thousand users, and our own business had to function and operate remotely. We had IP telephony, so the entire team took telephones home, laptops home, and started working from home, really sort of trying to make the best of it in the early days. But what we found is that we were able to do probably, 99% of things that we can do in the office working from home. The thing that we found helpful is we had daily team briefings, kept in touch, tried to keep the culture of the company alive, trying to sort of make sure that people who lived on their own weren't struggling mentally. And for us, because there was a hard lockdown with curfews, this went on for 3 months, where you weren't really able to leave the home other than to go to the supermarket on very select days of the week. So it was pretty brutal for, first up. There was no bleed into this. There was no warning for this. This was a real sort of shock to the system. In terms of business, the business actually looked after itself, and our quarter two, which was April to June, we saw record revenue figures, record profits, mostly because people were desperate to get remote working projects installed and functional. I think everyone on the whole island bought 2 laptops because we couldn't sell enough laptops. It was really something that it was 18-hour days pretty much for 3 months, from March until probably until the middle of June.
We were into our restructuring, rebranding phase, as I said before. So in addition to day-to-day operations, when the first lockdown was enforced by the government, it was mid-April, if I recall correctly. There was a lot going around as we were trying to produce some content for new brochures, still looking for digital marketing agency to take on some of the heavy lifting in marketing. And generally, we were all over the place trying to prioritize products that we wanted to promote, more or less.
So we are a little bit unique in that we are a technology-focused company, and we have 3 main divisions around telephony, internet connectivity, cloud telephony, and cloud applications. Then we have the security and the IT side of things. So being in that industry, it was very easy for us to adapt. In fact, we had adopted a lot of these cloud technologies in the past. So it was very easy for us to refocus our efforts in terms of working remotely. And we also we also operate a very flexible sort of policy for us in the office, and some of us that, work from home. So it was quite easy for us to move from being an office focused company to being a remote focused company, with the adoption of all these new technologies and some of the the policies that we have in place. It was just a case of implementing our sort of disaster recovery strategy and making sure that we continue to work and be productive during the time that we are working remotely.
So for us, we had to be an agile business, which we were fairly used to anyway, because we get hurricanes in the Caribbean, so we get regular DR tests and also DR events. So the work from home principle for us is not something that's unusual. It's something we've practiced. It's something we've had to use previously. What was different for us is that the hard lockdown went on for 3 months. Our staff weren't allowed to go to site. We had to nominate a couple of essential employees that were given a sort of police clearance to be able to drive around and press buttons if servers needed to be looked at or what have you. But really, the borders have been closed since March and haven't been open to tourism. So for us, all of our business is coming from the financial services vertical, which was a very strong business for us beforehand. That was the one we tended to target because it's 5 days a week and it's 12, 16 hours a day. It's not a 24/7 business, and I don't think any of us in the Cayman Islands really want to work 24/7. In terms of post-lockdown and what it meant, I think as an island, we've been operating as normal, probably similar to New Zealand, since about August. So we've not had any masks. The pubs and restaurants are fully open. There's no restrictions of any kind, when you walk and wander around the island. The challenge is tourism, which is, one of our main products in terms of revenue, has been decimated. Tourism still hasn't opened back up and probably won't do until the fall at the very earliest. So that leaves a lot of people who work in the tourism sector, struggling, which has now been probably 18 months, and they'll probably, struggle into 22 months before that picks back up.
Yeah, so we had that same problem. We had literally hundreds of customers calling us overnight asking for remote options, VPN setups for all the customers that we provide IT support from. So it was a crazy 2 or 3 weeks for us in trying to make sure that all our customers are well supported. So from that perspective, our productivity and our resources were really stretched for those first 2 weeks, just trying to get our customers working remotely.
It was a very interesting period, really. On one side, we had our clients that were COVID ready, to be honest, since we were applying the same methodologies that our MSP was built on since inception. We had put very little effort to send everybody home and start working. It was a matter of applying some existing policies to everyone, rather using the policies for some users that we used before. We had to face some uncertainties because everybody's house environment was very different in terms of internet connection, local networking quality, wireless, and so on. But fortunately, we had the tools that allowed us to provide the same level of service, irrelevant of where the end user is located, which is something that my support team really appreciated and realized the value of the tools that we invested on. So it was money well spent on these platforms like our RMM, PSA, BCTR, and EDR technologies. Also, because we have in our service offering cloud PBX or cloud telephony, as it's called, we were pushing our customers throughout the years to migrate from their legacy PBXs that were in the closets to our cloud PBX offering, which was for us a game changer because during the pandemic, we didn't face any issues with most of our companies because they were already using cloud telephony, which is something I believe was a problem for most of the companies. People just got their hard phones, those who didn't want to use the soft phones, so they picked them up from their office. They only needed a power supply, which was very easy to source. So that's the first part. On the other side, because we had very streamlined the operation and our customers were COVID ready, we had some new business coming in, mainly from larger enterprises, which they already had internal IT teams. They thought that they were ready, but it showed that they had issues safeguarding their data assets when people needed to work from home. So we spent the first few weeks maximizing our profits with ad hoc projects, assisting those type of customers and those IT teams. We have built throughout the years a great team of experts, everyone in his own field. So we were able to tackle these issues, but we had to work around the clock due to the limited time before the lockdown. Also, during the pandemic, as everybody, we had a lot of personal time to spare, so I could see people sending tickets late in the night, I mean customers, and at the same time see my text replying back immediately. So at some point I had to adjust the contracts in our PSA not to charge after hour support. I don't know who else did this, but I believe that our customers really appreciate it. So we moved away from the typical 9 to 5 working scenario. Also, we tried to educate the end users because as a cybersecurity company, we also know that the weakest link is the end user. And at the same time, we had a lot of the information security engagements got postponed, especially those that involved internal penetration testing. So we only had a few external penetration testings and VAs, vulnerability assessments. So our team had a lot of time to spare, and we started making some security awareness trainings for our customers. I believe they really liked it because they had the chance to talk with hackers and solve all of their questions. At the same time, because we are using some platforms for dark web monitoring and security awareness training, we started onboarding these customers to the platform free of charge. We had the license available to do that. So at the same time, we automated security awareness, which we believe was very important for our customers. Okay, of course, the engagement from the end users was not that high, but at least we did something on our part.
Sure, just some final thoughts. For us, having a robust MSP platform is really important, and we really automated a lot of our MSP tasks and really enhanced that during the COVID lockdown. You know, people working from home, I'm sure are the same with everyone. It wasn't 8 till 6 anymore. It was sometimes 6 in the morning till 11 at night because you had nothing else to do. We also integrated and really enhanced our MSSP platform with the Scout partnership, and security became something that, as you had remote access solutions, you really had to look at your security offerings because you didn't want to lose control of the endpoints or the users. There was definitely more control when users were using systems in the office because you had your traditional firewalls and traditional security protection controls in the office. And when people are working from home, sort of all bets are off, and you've got to come up with more innovative solutions to protect those users and your information assets from bad actors and other bad things that can happen in security. There's still no clear guidance as to when the borders will open. And one of the real reasons is the patient zero that we had was from a cruise ship. And unfortunately, they passed away within a couple of days. And at that time, there was no real statistics on, on how sort of deadly this virus was. So the government took a real sort of harsh decision to really close the borders, which resulted in, a lot of people losing their livelihood. And what they don't want to do is open up the borders too soon for that sacrifice to have been for nothing. So they really want to be sure that, this 18-month sacrifice that we're all making doesn't get made a pointless exercise because, people from other countries come here and bring the virus en masse.
I believe because we were of the first countries that went into lockdown, and that was in April, the hard lockdown. We got out of lockdown last December. Okay, since then we had two additional, not so strict lockdowns. They were imposed for a few weeks each. So returning back to the office was done partially for some companies. They went back home again. So having that said, I believe that we have a sample of how these companies are willing to move in the future. Not all of them are keen to continue this, mostly because of outdated conceptions, I believe, and mentality. I also believe it's a matter of fear and loss of control. It's very difficult for a company without clear and solid KPIs to adopt this way of working. So I believe the future is clear. Cyber threats are here to stay. We see that these trends for the last few years before the pandemic, but we also see a sudden increase during the last 1 year and a half, which was tremendous, I believe. We have invested a lot around security, and we want to expand towards that direction in addition to our managed services offering. We already got some big projects into private and non-private sectors, mainly for security hardening and configuration reviews. And we are big advocates of the defense in depth and layered security model, where every layer plays its own role in the overall security of an organization. So having only a few layers in place, it's like having no one actually. So the goal is to expand this and build a model that can adopt all the important elements that are needed to have a complete layered security business offering, mainly for the small to medium-sized organizations, because I believe are those that cannot afford to have this kind of protection in contrast to the larger enterprises that are in the market.
So yeah, I mean, with us, I think February was more of a turning point for and I'll say England, because in the UK, all the nations have a different sort of schedule in terms of how things are progressing. But in England, in February we were given a clear roadmap as to when things were going to open out. Who's returning to the offices, what industries are coming back online, and Monday for us was another milestone. So most non-essential retail and other activities opened up back to normal, or whatever is we consider as the new normal now. So we have a clear roadmap in terms of where we're going in terms of the economy, the way things are opening up, and businesses can plan for that. And that's the kind of key point is that we are able to plan for any sort of changes and move forward. And we're really looking forward to June 21st when according to the government's plan is that there will be little or no restrictions in place. So today we are starting to see a lot of people back in the offices. A lot of our customers are starting to travel into work, into London, and we're starting to see an increase in traffic again. So we're starting to see things slowly returning to that pre-COVID era. But we're also starting to see a lot of our customers adapt to the new working environment. So we've had an increase in some of our cloud applications. We've had an increase in our cybersecurity offerings because companies are now adopting a sort of hybrid work strategy where you have part work from home, part work from the office. So we are moving with the times. Of course, we're an MSP provider, so we are quite flexible. We're able to adapt to the changes in the economy and in the environment, and and this will kind of really help us offer excellent support and services to our customers who are in this new type of work environment.